All right, welcome to episode 16 of the YYC Real Estate Show. We got Zach, Shiraz, and myself, Sebastian. And we got a special guest here, Matt Greenham.
Very excited to learn about Matt. He's a member of the Green Group with us and the top producer in our team. So we'll learn all about that in a second. But as you know, we will give everyone out there your weekly real estate update. Zach, what happened in the last 7 days?
Yeah, so this week there was a total of 595 sales compared to last week's 747. So a big drop there, as you can see. In that sector, detached, there's 288. Attached houses, there was 57. Townhouses, there was 98. Condos, there was 171. And full duplexes, there was 1. The total active listings this week are 2,501 compared to last week's 2,470. The total pending listings is 898 compared to last week's 928.
So more listings, less sales.
Yeah. We're starting to move a little bit out of that seller's market, maybe a little bit.
Still a long ways away from moving out of it, but we're starting to see some changes for sure.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
The last month and a half, the numbers have been almost the same.
Yeah.
Within like 20 difference, but all of a sudden we're over 100 difference. So.
Yeah. Out of those, the highest sale was $2.9 million in mahogany. It sold in 14 days. It was backing directly onto a lake, so a beautiful property there. The second one was $2,449,000 Upper Mount Royal, sold in 16 days for the full asking price. 1930 built and a 0.26 acre lot. I think that was the second highest last week as well.
Yeah.
I think the first one changed, but the second one stayed. So, at the lowest sales was $117,000 apartment in Chinatown, and number 2 being $145,500 apartment in Sonalta. I think those didn't change as well. Today's mortgage rates: the 5 year is 4.94%, 3 years 5.64%, and the 2 year is 6.14%. So
a little bit of a slowdown in the number of transactions, but more listings on the market. So we'll see how coming into the heat of summer here, how things change.
With the slowdown, have you guys been experiencing any slowdown in your listings? Like less people coming
a little
through?
bit.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm seeing less showings.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see a little more days on market for the generic median properties, right? If you price something aggressively, it'll go.
Yeah.
If you're overpriced, obviously it's going to stay. But for that median, I am seeing like longer days on market.
the one thing I'm noticing is in the offers. Like, it used to be a bit no conditional offers. Now you're starting to see people aren't afraid to add a condition. So that's where I'm seeing a bit of the change. But obviously, if someone really wants something, they're going to go no condition. So
shout out to Ali Nazami at CIBC. He always gives us our mortgage rates and updates, and he was letting me know that a recent poll that his bank, CIBC, did for Canadians, it found that homeownership continues to be an important goal. While affordability concerns are rampant, homeownership does not have to be out of reach. A solid savings and investment plan could put you on the path to homeownership in the future. The poll that they did showed that 71% say owning a home is a top goal for them, but affordability is a concern. So house prices have skyrocketed over the past few years, obviously driven by the initial ultra low rates and low supply. But now with inflation and higher mortgage rates, 80% of current mortgage holders have expressed concern about how elevated inflation and rising interest rates is going to impact their mortgage payments, renewal time. So everyone's kind of worried. But just for an example, if your mortgage is like $2,000 and you had like a couple percent, it's only going to go up by $200 to $300. So it's not thousands, but some people are concerned. Low supply housing may continue. 2/3 of Canadians expect to stay in their home longer than expected, mainly in response to the current economic and real estate environment. So people are on the fence, not ready and willing to make a move, kind of just waiting to see how things play out. So I know Ali over at CIBC does set up a lot of my clients for a long-term goal of homeownership when they don't think they can get it. So they set them up on opening accounts, getting credit cards, building credit, and it's kind of like a 1 to 2 year plan for you to be ready to put an offer in, right? So given the dream of homeownership, many plan to provide their children money to purchase a home as well. So 63% of respondents with children in this poll that CIBC did intend to help their children with the down payment. So this is important given that almost 80% worry about the affordability of homes. So home ownership, as we talked about, is a top goal, source of pride for many Canadians. So if you want to purchase a home for the first time or move into a home, we can help you out here. Reach out to us to put a plan together if you didn't think it's out of reach for you, or if you thought it was out of reach. So now that it's a new month, first episode of the new month, it was another record high month last June. So the housing market in Calgary witnessed a surge in apartment and condo sales, setting a new total record with 3,146 sales in June.
Wow.
So year-to-date sales are currently 23% lower than last year, but they remain significantly higher than pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah.
So the new benchmark price, 564,700. That is the new benchmark price. Yeah, released by credit.
And I think it's important for people not to compare last year to just the market in general, because last year was an anomaly, right? That's one of those things that happens like every 8 years where the market just peaks.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people, when comparing their home to what it is now to what it was last year, now you can get a like you said, a fantastic price, but still, nevertheless, last year was just a crazy time in the market.
Right. So. Yeah. So obviously, we'd like to give everyone current events because it's the YYC Real Estate Show. So what's been happening around town?
Sebastian, you want to? Sure, I'll give that a shot. Current events. All right. What was first reported as a garage fire in the northeast of Calgary on Wednesday night ended up spreading to a house and also damaging other homes. The Calgary Fire Department said crews were called about a blaze on Savannah Way Northeast at about 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Firefighters found a 2-story home and a detached garage fully involved with fire and flames spreading to the house next door. No injuries were reported, so that's good.
Engulfed in
flames, yes. No, it says here. Literally says involved in flames. It says involved in flames.
Well, that works too, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't get that one wrong.
Too early.
Smith built hats ready for Stampede.
Do you guys know about that place? I remember when they were building it, because I used to always go to Cold Garden there in Inglewood, and it's right next to Cold Garden. Cold Garden is a nice craft brewery place where they don't have any food, but it's dog friendly. You can order anything in there, so it's pretty cool. You sit there, you got your dog, your friends have their dogs, and there's like pizza deliveries happening and things like that. Right next to them is Smith Built Hats. Now that's a location, but they've actually been in existence for over 100 years, and they have not changed their building
I've for
process.
sure heard of that. Yeah.
So now that Stampede's in full effect, this new current event is like really showcasing them. Like global news went down there.
Yeah, they've been creating hats since 1919. And
over 100 years.
Same process, handmade.
Do you know how much one of those hats costs?
So they range.
I mean, I don't know. But I mean, my hat last year was like $300.
Wow.
It's kind of the same process. I'm sure these are, close to that or more. I mean, the handmade process is.
But the
thing about cowboy boots and hats is that they last for like years if you take care of them. Like, it's for sure quality over buying cheap.
Let's see those chucks.
Yeah.
And
ready for the Stampede.
Yeah.
They broken in?
My lift kits. Yeah, there. Yeah. I think I'm 6'6" in these bad boys.
Did you stand in the shower with them?
I did.
You did?
I did stand in the shower with them, steam.
Nice.
How
long were you in there for?
I also duct taped them. Not very long. No, when you do as much dancing as I do, you don't really need to unnaturally break them in.
Yeah, he does that pretty sweaty feet. Yeah. All right. Calgarians are getting some unusual new options for getting creative with Stampede decorating this year. It's all about getting that Wild West look at a really wild twist. Bleeding Art Industries, a Calgary company that provides props and other items for movies and TV productions, is holding a closeout sale as it shuts down its doors, I guess. Yeah. Have you ever been there?
So yeah, if anybody wants to get fresh gear to go to the Stampede, check them out. They have really, really fancy stuff that was used in movies and TV for Western wear, and because they're shutting their doors, it's kind of like a big wholesale price, right? So, and also some good news for safety, as we've seen some negative things in the news in Calgary recently. The city of Calgary is going to strike down on downtown safety. Yeah. So there's been like a consensus group, and the mayor, Jody Condek, announced that a new focus group co-chaired by the Calgary Downtown Association In from the Cold, if you guys have heard of that. They're involved with the city. So the focus group's 120 people, and they're going to identify gaps and barriers within the downtown core, but while also finding targeted, action-oriented approaches to public safety. So obviously this includes intentional but also compassionate intervention measures. So the aim is to create a vibrant and safe environment for Calgarians while also ensuring the approaches are rooted in evidence-based decision making. So we'll see, and we hope that things do get a little better, especially with like people riding in the late hours on the trains and things like that, and just being around downtown.
So it's a good initiative. It kind of turned to Gotham City there for a bit.
That's what I mean, right? So,
good thing that's happening.
I pride YYC. I pride myself as a Canadian, and part of that is because of usually predominantly how safe we are. But I don't like to hear these things in the news that we've all seen about like some deaths and shootings and stuff. So just remember, it's not the norm. It's our numbers are still drastically lower than elsewhere. So. Which is why we talked about on the last episode, like Calgary was, in the top 10 in the world still to live and stuff. So, but heads up to everyone out there. Remember, we had given everyone a heads up to stay vigilant, and when you're doing renovations, watch out for scams. Well, there's another new scam going around. So Calgary police are warning the public here in YYC about a cryptocurrency scam that involves scammers who are posing as police officers.
Oh,
so that's going around right now. So
it's cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so watch out for that. They're specifically targeting people that they know have cryptocurrencies.
Oh, okay.
Posing as a police officer and requesting payment in cryptocurrencies.
That's why I got that weird call the other day.
There you go. They wanted you to sell all your Bitcoin.
I did.
Ethereum. How many Ethereum did you sell?
A lot.
Why not to me? Anyways.
No. Couple coins.
Yeah. So with current events out of the way and talking about another record-setting June we had, new benchmark price, a little bit of slowdown in the sales, total sales and things like that. So we'll be excited to see what next week brings. I have a new listing coming up in the Keynote building. I have the Chestermere listing still. Zach, you have a listing coming up here?
In a couple weeks, one in Auburn. There'll be a house in Auburn Bay coming up. I don't have all the details on it yet, so I don't want to share that just yet. The one townhouse I had in the Northeast is pending right now as of today, or the condition day is today. So hopefully that is a smooth sale. But besides that, I'm just working with some buyers and getting that stuff going. So.
Yeah.
And Sebastian?
For me, I have the one in Pembroke coming up later this month, in hopefully a week.
It's supposed to be later this week.
Hopefully in a week. We'll see if things go as planned. Also,
we should do an episode there when it's all renovated.
Yeah, we should. Also, I have a listing in Cochrane coming up, and that's the same one, the 6-bedroom, 4-bath with legal suites. And also, I have a new listing coming tomorrow in the northeast of Calgary in Brickstone. It's 143 Brickstone Boulevard, northeast. Nice. Yeah, and that's going to be listed at $359.
What about the Redstone townhouse?
It's nice. Is
that going to be listed this weekend?
It's going to be listed tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Yeah, that is that one. The Redstone.
Okay, so you said Brickstone.
Oh, I did say Brickstone. Redstone, right? It is Redstone. It's a really cool. It's a really nice one. It is a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, but both the bedrooms are master suites.
So they each have an ensuite
exactly.
with a half bath for the guests. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Single garage or double?
It's a single garage, but it's 35 feet long.
The garage.
So they actually used it really interestingly, where they just have they made it a single garage, and then the other half is like a living space.
Yeah.
Where they have a sauna and like TVs and stuff like that. They're just it's a really cool spot.
That'll fly.
They have a sauna in there?
Yeah, they do. They have a sauna there too.
Selling it with the property? Obviously.
No, they're not.
They're not?
It's not attached to anything. It's just a freestanding sauna.
Yeah.
Like Kato and special guest again.
Well,
special guest.
With those updates out of the way, didn't you have a CS recently with a teammate as well?
Oh yeah, the Airdrie property that listed last week is CS.
How many days on market before you guys got it CS?
1 day on market.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't talk about the details, but it was the first offer was good.
Yeah.
The client took it.
Nice.
Awesome.
So that was very, very smooth transaction.
Nice.
Yeah, and Matt, what do you got going on?
Well, with that, we'll segue into Matt here by first allowing Matt, as always, to introduce himself. Please, one more time, just tell everyone out there who you are and what brought you to YYC, and also what brought you into real estate.
My name is Matt. I've been in real estate 5 years now. moved out from Ontario about 9 years ago. Started in marketing out here with some beer companies and
Sweet.
worked way too many Stampede days, so now I avoid that for a little bit here. Yeah, I always liked real estate, always grew up watching a lot of HGTV. Always looked like I was 12 years old though, so I kind of delayed getting into real estate. I mean, it didn't really change, so I had to bite the bullet eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, got into real estate 5 years ago with Royal LePage. Joined Green Group probably in that first year, and then it's kind of grown from there and
Nice.
bounced around a little bit, and yeah, we're back here.
What do you really like about YYC, and if there was something you could change, what would you change?
I mean, living in Cochrane, I guess I'd start with what I could change. Like, I mean, accessibility would be a nice one. Like if we could get if the train system extended out a little bit further, or if we had some type of, better taxi or Uber system out that way that brought us into Calgary, I think that would be nice for sure.
Yeah, you always have to set up like a driver or way to get home when you want to check out a hockey game.
And it's $100 to get downtown to Calgary.
So it's not cheap for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love coming downtown. I'm a big hockey guy, so I love going to the Flames games. The food scene here is a million times better than it is in Cochrane. So if you're coming out for dinner, you're definitely making the trip into the city.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite spot here in YYC for dinner?
For dinner, not really. I don't know. I just kind of
Likes them all compared to Cochrane?
I honestly, I have a couple people on Instagram, and I just message them, and I'm like, "Hey, where should I go?" And he'll give me like 3 recommendations.
Wow.
And he's a big foodie, so he just he gives me 3 recommendations every time, and we just pick one. And
That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah.
Next thing I ask where you should go for dinner. Nice.
So.
And I understand, for those that don't know, the reason Zachary is in our lives is thanks to Matt here. So tell us about that.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's a loaded story.
Oh man.
We have time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to coach Zach back in Cochrane, playing junior.
Yeah.
And I think it was one practice. You just kind of came up to me as we were skating around, and you're like, "Oh, I'm getting my real estate license." And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, and I didn't even know you're a realtor, and that's the weirdest part. I don't know if at that point I knew. I think maybe, but for a long time,
I thought he was the one. In my opinion, I thought he was the one that would have told you and brought you into it.
No. I started my course before joining his team, and then I think maybe at that point on the ice when I skated up to him and told him I was finally taking it, that I knew. But before that, for a while, probably a couple months on the team, I had no clue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't really publicize it too much within the team. Like you're with kids that aren't ready to buy houses yet. So.
Yeah, true.
Way to start your savings early.
We talked about it at the beginning of the show.
And then there's one-on-one coaches meetings, like the 2 are about hockey, his is about your financial plan.
That's right. How to set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and then I don't know. We just kind of, as the season went on and stuff, like, I mean, we just stayed in touch with how he was doing on it and everything. And then I recommended, being a new agent coming in and being younger, like join a team, surround yourself with people who have done it, who've been successful, and get that experience, and then figure out what you want to do and where you want to go from there. But I mean, me starting young and having some people that I could surround myself that had been successful with it was a big reason why I was able to stay in it and not be one of the statistics of 87% failure rate.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer, and especially with young new agents, like go on a team to start, and then obviously you're giving up some of your money and everything, but you're going to learn valuable lessons. You're going to avoid lawsuits, and you're going to kind of fast track your career a little bit.
For sure. Well, yeah, before I joined, he told me to come to one of the Asian attraction events that we held, and I went to the the Cochrane office, and I don't think you were there actually.
No,
you
I
weren't.
met you for the first time when you were already.
That was a full one too.
That was a full
packed
one,
up, yeah.
and because Pablo, Tim, and Haley were there.
Yeah.
And it was packed. And then I had to leave early because I had to go to hockey practice. I did out when Haley was talking. I was like, "Oh, this looks terrible." But then it's obviously worked out ever since. But it helps knowing like a new job or career. It helps knowing someone that's doing it to ask questions. I asked you a lot of questions. I weighed the pros and cons. I had kind of two ways I wanted to go, whether real estate or I was thinking to be an EMT, like I was saying that
really?
in previous podcasts. So I was kind of like, and then obviously it helps to kind of go to these meetings and the agent attraction and talk to Matt, and I haven't looked back, so it's been good. Good. And I still talk to my hockey coach sometimes, which is kind of funny in front of professional people, but that's okay.
We'll never stop doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, so Matt, tell us what you have going on in real estate.
In real estate, kind of what you guys are saying with the week update. Like things are slowing a little bit. Like some of our new build listings are sitting a little bit longer. We're not seeing as much traffic for realtor showings. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of that's to do with pricing too, right? Like, in the last 3 months, we've gone up. Every 2-3 weeks, we're going up 10 grand on pricing because things are just moving that fast. So when you hit a certain point where it kind of starts to level out, and then you have to kind of readjust and kind of look at things too, right? And say, okay, does it make sense to keep prices here and slow down a little bit, or do we need to reevaluate and bring prices back down? So that's kind of the stage we're at right now. So we'll see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks. But I mean, there's still lots moving. Lots of people out looking. I know in years past, like you come into the summer months in Cochrane and Calgary areas, usually you see a big slowdown because you have so many people that are campers and you've got stampede going on and everybody kind of disperses. But now with all of your interest coming from BC and Ontario, your summer is actually going to be really busy because you have all these people coming in that are vacationing here, right? And they're the ones that have the money that are buying. Yeah, and they're coming to look too. Yeah. So that's kind of it's just hard work this summer and see what happens from that, and just not take too much vacation. Hopefully. But we'll do that in the fall. So
exactly.
Yeah,
nice.
With these new builds that you're in charge of, Matt, and for those out there that don't know, Matt is in charge of selling Rohit Communities products. Basically almost sold everything in Cochrane and now is selling in town as well. There's still a lot coming up in Cochrane, but my question in regards to that with new builds is, do you find that when customers and clients reach out to you, they have a show home to go to, but how do you show them an example? Do you have a list of maybe like a halfway done or maybe a sold property that hasn't taken fruition?
Yeah, so that's kind of, I mean, with us, like we have a show home, but it's one model. So that's where you're really going to take people who just are more of a visual person that need to see what your actual finishes look like. But the other people who, new builds are kind of tough, right? Because you're never really going to see what your house looks like until you actually move into it. But our build process is a little different. Like there's no change orders and anything. So everything's kind of pre-assigned. So I can find them a property that's halfway done or almost finished that would be at least the same color scheme as theirs is going to be, and we can go see that one so they can see the color scheme, and then I can take them to a different one and show them what the actual floor plan would look like. So it's kind of just maneuvering a little bit and seeing what's kind of available on the market. Sometimes you have to come into different communities in Calgary and see what we can kind of make work there. But a lot of it, the 3D tours that people can see online and stuff now too, that's a big help because people can kind of walk through, and usually when people are coming to us, they have a really good idea of what they want already, and it's just kind of, do I want this color or do I want this color?
Well, I bet you get a lot of that generic question, I'm sure, which is, I want the Hudson model with the, hot contemporary, but I want to change the one thing. Yeah. But they're not allowed to change anything, right?
Yeah, so just to keep price points down and keep the process moving forward, with Rohit, we don't, in Cochrane and in our Calgary communities, at a certain point, we don't allow any more change orders. And that really gives us kind of that competitive advantage where, you know, a lot of other builders, they will allow you to do it. You're going to pay for it, obviously, to make that change. But their build times are a lot slower because they have to wait to order that product until they're at a certain point, and they're not ordering it in masses, right? Like we know how many of each color is going to be on that street, so we can pre-order those, and you can get a cheaper price usually if you're doing bulk orders. So it creates a little bit of a cost savings to the buyer for sure. And you know, we're working with designers and stuff on these interiors. And you know, I was working in Montera for a bit, which was an estate home community, and it was all custom up there. And it was really interesting because people, they don't really understand what custom means, right? Like you go to a custom builder and you're talking everything in the house. They want to know, where do you want the lights? Where do you want the plugs? Like all those small things. And everyone kind of looks at them and they're like, well, wherever you think, right? Like you're the house builder. All I want to do is pick my colors. But unless you actually are working with a designer, for most part, people don't pick good colors that go together in a house. You spend 1.5 million and you end up with a house that you don't actually like.
The thing is with like those also like some larger builders, right? They have like different options, like tile package 1, 2, and 3, right? But the thing is, you might choose 3 is upgraded, it's nicer, it's this style, right? You see like it looks like a nice modern
backsplash
nice modern white tile, but then it's all together and you're like, why does this look like like tinted brown? Like I didn't realize it was going to come out like this. So I imagine that having it kind of preset takes a lot of the stress away from the process. Yeah,
like the upfront, it's a little difficult for people to get their head around and say, I don't get to pick anything in my new house. But when they move in, they're like, wow, it looks good.
Yeah, there's something valuable about giving someone exactly what they expect.
Yeah, and then from a resale standpoint too, you look at that and you're like, okay, I picked something that the masses are gonna like. So if I go sell that house 3 years down the road, I didn't do it custom to what I like today, knowing that I'm going to sell it.
I never thought about it that way. That's a good point. I have 2 questions. First one is, how long with the Rohit build, for example, for the people to know, from the start of construction to it's ready to move in, what's the timeline? How many months would you say?
So if
obviously it depends, but if it flows smoothly.
If everything goes smoothly and weather's a big factor on it,
of course,
you're usually going to be between 5 to 7 months.
Okay.
So they're a pretty quick build process, and it's nice because you're using the same trades, right? Like, so you're just building one after the next. The trades are just moving from one house to the next house, and it's just consistent, right? So you get a quality workmanship is what I kind of relate it to, where you don't have different trades coming in on different houses. It's like these guys are specialists, they do this house, and then they go down the street.
And second question was, have you ever had anybody buy a Rohit house without seeing it in person at all? Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Lots?
Yeah, lots.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Especially, like a lot of your people are right now from Ontario that are buying, because a lot of the product that we have has side entrances in it. So you can suite the basements and you can do all that stuff, right? And our price points out there, they just make a lot of sense. Your rental rate in Cochrane, where we're building, you're at about a 0.1% vacancy rate.
Wow.
It's
crazy.
So what price point are you at in
we're kind of in that mid 4s to mid 5s.
Mid 4 to mid 5. And for someone who might be from Calgary, who knows more of the Calgary market, not Cochrane, what exactly do you get for a mid 5 home?
So mid 5 home, you're getting a detached 1,600 square foot house with a lane in the back with a paved double car parking pad there.
2-story?
2-story, yeah. Kind of your standard 2-story house. And then you, on all those ones, you have a side entrance to the basement too. So
that is good value. It's hard to find something like that in Calgary in a good neighborhood,
And then, the nice thing with these guys too is they try and, we're still working on the fencing thing, but they're trying to make it as simple as possible for investors too, right? So they're doing all the landscaping front and back, which most builders won't do backyard landscaping.
Yeah, no, they won't.
So these guys, they're really trying to simplify it for people that aren't from town, right? And they don't have
connections or contractors just ready to move in.
You just want to have everything all done at once.
That's a good strategy though.
Move a renter in, you don't even have to come out here.
Yeah, well.
So you did mention that you might have to adjust prices, right? Like, I find it hard, like to think that the builder might lower the price, right? Because if a neighbor was like, I just bought mine for this much and now it's less, like I imagine that might bring some.
Yeah, I mean, it's never fun if that happens.
Yeah.
But, you're always just basing things off of the current market conditions, right?
No,
so
that is true.
It's kind of. It's the same sort of idea. Like they have a goal for the year of how many houses they have to sell, and it's obviously we've done really well so far in the year, and we're surpassing that goal. But if things start to slow down, then it's like, okay, well, what's the builder across the street doing, or we have to start looking at other communities and say what are the price points there, and where are we, market wise compared to them. So it's definitely. Yeah, not fun to see that the house next door sold for less, but it's kind of gone the other way too, right? The ones that got in early in the communities, and then Shiraz had a buyer out there, and they've already made $50,000.
They made it in a week's time. We shouted out Ali Nizami at CIBC at the beginning here, and I met these clients at a Rohit show home that Matt set up. And they came in, they were interested, they wanted to purchase the detached, the Hudson, more than willing to wait. It was 504,900. They said, we're good on the pre-approval mortgage, we bank with this bank, I won't mention their name because their pre-approval fell.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let's not let this deal go, give me 48 hours and let me put you in touch with Ali. And in 24 hours, he had them in writing, pre-approved, ready to close the deal. So they got in at 504,900 for a detached property in Cochrane, and that went up to 519, and then it went up again.
Yeah, and now it's the last one that we sold. We sold out that model on the street for this phase, but the last one we sold was at 554.
So 504,900, and now you're selling them at 554.
And they haven't even got the house yet.
No.
It hasn't even broken ground yet
Right.
on the one that they bought. So
Wow.
yeah, they made $50,000 and doing nothing.
Yeah. And they made it in a week's time. Like that was announced, and literally a week and a half later, the price increased. And then it increased again 2 more times.
Yeah. So for our viewers, Matt, what is the process of buying a new build? I know that they're not going to get the house for a year or so, right? So like, what happens if they put in a deposit and whatnot, and they lose their job? Like, what happens, and what's the process there?
Yeah, it can be a little bit of a tough process, right? Because you have to time things a little bit. Like if you own a house, you have to time when can you list your house? When does your house sell? Are you taking possession at the same time, or are you going to rent? Obviously, there's delays and builds and everything too. But for your point of if they lose their job, like they've already kind of waived conditions. It's kind of the same as a resale house, right? If you've waived conditions and you lose your job, whatever that deposit is, if you can't actually close on the house, you're going to lose that deposit. So it does make it a little tough.
And they can't close on the house.
Tough, but not impossible.
Yeah.
The benefit here in Alberta, and why a lot of investors are choosing to put their money here in this province, is we don't have these limitations for things like assignment clauses. So, for example, my clients, if they said I can't proceed with the sale, it's 554, they could easily sell it or give me the right to sell it on their behalf for even less to someone else. And there's no assignment fee, so they can legally do that.
So you're pretty much assigning the purchase contract to a new buyer.
Yeah.
Who's going to take over this home for you.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So there are advantages here, but you have to secure a new buyer to take that property, even if it's for the same amount, to kind of save your client from having to lose their deposit.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things you're seeing in the city with all these condo developments that are like 2-3 years out right now, is people are putting that 5% or 10% or whatever the builder's requiring with the idea that they're never actually going to take possession of it. They're saying, okay, right now it's at 300, but in 2 years' time, it's going to be
that's an interesting business.
Yeah. So, and all you have to do is put down 10%, right? So it's like, okay, I don't really need the money to close on it. I just have to gamble a little bit that the price is going to go up or it's going to break even. And you know what? If it goes down, then you close on it. and then you rent it out or you do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, it's not really.
Because
but if it appreciates, then
and from my understanding, a lot of time with new builds, the pre-sales are a little cheaper than when they actually come onto market when they're close to being done.
Well, with most builders, it's all business, it's all numbers. So they have to. Let's say, for example, there's 3 phases, right?
Yeah.
They will put a very aggressive price on phase 1 and sell out all of phase 1. Now that they know they have all this money
The
coming
traction
in,
helps.
Yeah.
they can increase the prices on phase 2. They sell phase 2. They can now increase the prices on phase 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that same product in phase
Yeah.
1 that's 504 900, it's now going to be 550.
Yeah,
555.
the goal kind of is, you get your first people in because, you're just breaking ground on everything, right? You're still a ways out, and then you slowly increase, and then by the time you end phase 1, you almost want to be at the spot that you're going to start phase 2 at. And then you're kind of going to do the same thing, right? So that way it's not a huge jump because obviously we are listing a lot of these properties on the MLS and realtors can see, what the last one sell for. You don't want to have a jump of 500 to 600 on a house. Like you want to do slow increments to show that it's kind of gone up over time.
Well, you got the data to prove that it's been selling, right?
Yeah.
Like if you jump from 5 to 6, people are gonna be like, it's never sold for that much. Why would you even say that much? But if it's sold for, jump to 550 and it's sold for 540, it makes sense. People can rationalize that.
Numbers talk.
Yeah, numbers talk.
So in real estate, as a real estate agent, Matt, we talked about it quite a bit. There's a few different tasks we do for prospecting, and everyone has certain one that they gravitate towards. These are their skills, right?
Yeah.
So some people like to door knock face to face. Some people like to cold call. They're good on the phone. Some people like to email or put on events.
Have events, yeah.
Yeah. So in your experience, in your time in real estate, is there one avenue of prospecting for new clients that you feel is the best for you? Have you tried them all? What do you hate? What do you like?
I've probably tried way too many.
Open houses in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I especially when I first started in real estate, I did, I had the shiny object syndrome, right? It was like, okay, I'll try this for 2 weeks. That's not working. I'll go to the next thing. And so I kind of tried everything. But, in the past couple of years, I think the best one for me is door knocking, which was kind of funny because it wasn't like true door knocking, right? I was doing it in the winter, so it was a lot of just flyers door to door and just consistently hitting that same area. And I went to a dad's dinner that my wife signed me up for recently, and I walked into it. I don't know any of these guys. They're all from Cochrane though. And 2 of them came up to me like, I know you from somewhere. Like, I got no clue who these people are. And they're like, are you a real estate agent? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you talked to my wife like a couple months ago, and
Yeah, you did.
I saw your flyers, and so they kind of it did start to work, right? So, and then that one's been probably the most beneficial I found. Yeah.
Nice. No.
So I have a question about that. Last week we talked, and Brennan came in from Cashin. Do you think it's better to hit, what did we say, 1,000 doors or 200 doors 5 times? Like, you know what I mean? Same area?
200 doors 5 times.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Because
a
creates
common theme. We've all our
the
guests were asking that.
relatability, right?
Yeah.
And it's
They need to see
proven-
your face like at least 7 times to remember it.
Well, yeah, that's 100%. I agree with that, because you could do one door knocking round for 20 neighborhoods once a year, and they take the flyer and throw it out. But if you hit it 6 times in a year, maybe the 6th time they're, you actually do want to sell, or this guy. It shows hard work too.
Even if someone doesn't read your flyer that you put in their door, they have to pull it off, right? And they're seeing something on it. And then if they consistently see that same thing, eventually they're gonna like open it, see what it is. They might not call you then or whatever, but everybody's selling at different times, and you have to always be front of mind.
Yeah, true.
So if you go door knock and you never come back to that same house, they didn't keep that flyer, they don't remember who you are.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
all timing, right? It's like if you can do that, like I found I hit the same neighborhood twice in the same month. Like I hit them at the start of the month, and they'll hit that same neighborhood again at the end of the month. That way, if they're selling in that month, they should be calling me, because I'm the one that's there in front of them all the time.
True.
Yeah. No, I like the aspect of door knocking and face to face and being relatable in that
Totally.
way. But with that and your flyers, it's like part of marketing. It's like, you know, it goes into your subconscious without you knowing it. That same color, that same logo, that same face.
Yeah.
You know, if a person sees it 5-6 times, they don't even know. That's why at a party months later, they're like, I know you from somewhere.
Well, and then if you do get a listing of one of those, and then the neighbor is driving by and sees now the flyer and now your name on the sign, so obviously someone trusted us or
You
trusted
get a
someone.
quick sale, and then now you're going out, just sold, whatever, right? And it's like, you try not to be too salesy with it.
Of course. Yeah. So are you more, because you helped me when I first started, more market stats for the area is a good one. For like general information, but not like, do you want to sell right now? Because that's too pushy, too saley.
Yeah, you're just trying to be front of mind with people is more than anything what you're
and helpful too, because that is helpful. If nobody ever buys a house from you, but they're getting market stats, and some people don't know what's going on. Like
everybody wants to know what's happening in their market, right?
Of course,
they see a house up down the street, they want to know what it's priced at.
Yeah,
they want to know what it sells for, and obviously we can't give them, you know, the actual sales data all the time, but we can give them ballpark numbers and fill them in. You're, you know, from where you were 2 years ago, you're actually up here now. And
but that's the thing about this market too, right? We can deliver good news pretty easily. Yeah. Someone who hasn't been in the market for a few years, like your home's worth this now, this much. And it's easy to like make them, you know, feel proud of what they own, right? Or what they could get. So right now is a pretty good time to be face to face with people and door knocking and just getting out there.
But I would say even if the market shifted and went back down, right? Like you got to really look at it and say, okay, how many people are moving right now within the city? Like, how many own a house in the city and are moving to another place? It's probably a lot lower than we think. It's a lot of people coming in to the city from other places.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you've owned a house for 5 years, you obviously bought it significantly lower. So even if it goes down 10% and now you can now afford to buy something upgrading, you're still in an okay spot because you bought much lower, right? It's, you know, the people that, if they bought last year and they're trying to resell right now, or they're trying to resell next year, they might sting a little. But if you bought 5, 10, 15 years ago and you're downsizing or something like that, it really doesn't matter what happens in the market. They're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves.
No, what I really liked, what you mentioned there, what resonated with me is that when you're talking about door knocking and stuff, is you said you need to be front of mind. So when you're door knocking, when you're prospecting, when you're calling, door knocking, a lot of people get discouraged because they're like, I'm calling, I'm door knocking, I need a deal today. But that's not the strategy you're going after. It's you want to be reached out to by these customers, clients
6 months
to be front of mind when they have a question. Right? So you need to be front of mind. You need to remind them that you're out there, that you're here, and if they have any questions, they have your number and contact information. Be it 6 months, be it tomorrow, be it 2 years down the road. They'll be like, oh yeah, Matt's been in my neighborhood, giving me updates. I see him around. He listed one down the street. So becoming front of mind is what we need to aim for. Not because I see a lot of agents, they complain because, well, I've knocked on 2,000 doors and I don't have a listing, right? But it's like, that's not work down the drain. You know, you're building a rapport in those 2,000 doors. Right? It's like you might get 10 listings in the next 2-3 years from those 2,000 doors. Don't get discouraged.
People always ask me like, what's the best time of day to do it and everything, and honestly, it's just doing it. Like I found I've gone in the mornings, I've gone in the evenings. It's like in the evenings maybe you're gonna get more people to answer, right? But in the mornings you have a lot of people that are working from home too, and a lot of people that are out walking their dog or doing that stuff. And people walking their dog will talk to you all day long. And it's like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, oh, hey, I'm a real estate agent, and then all of a sudden there's a conversation.
And you might not be able to talk to both partners, but maybe one partner's home, right? Like sometimes one person works, right? So it's true. I mean, unless you're going at unreasonable hours, should be fine.
Don't go at 6
in the morning.
That's not a good call.
What I like to do is when I go door knocking, I go to the same houses. Like when I make a point of, if I make a connection with someone, next week when I go door knocking again to that same neighborhood, I'll stop by those guys' doors and knock on those doors again, because I made a connection to them already. Might as well build those while I'm there and keep on trying to make new connections later as well. But I find that that's really beneficial too. You don't have to knock the same doors
Yeah.
200 times
Yeah.
or whatever, right? You just got to knock the ones that you feel have potential
Yeah.
to create them.
Yeah, and it does take time. Like it was 4 months of no results before we, where I finally got first kind of listing and stuff from it. And then
that's the nature of our industry, nature of our careers.
Yeah,
it's
you
like
just-
our work today is for a
Get paid
paycheck.
6
90
months a
days.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, even longer even. Yeah.
Matt was telling me, as all fellow, homeowners and everyone out there in real estate, it's like upkeep, renovating, fixing things. And I remember you were like replacing and changing a patio and a deck at your property and things like that. So something I want to remind everyone that I was given a little refresher on is that in regards to RPRs and doing changes on your property, if you remove something, you don't need a new RPR. If you're keeping the same footprint, the same framing, and you change like the top boarding of a patio, you don't need anything. If you have a shed that's 10 square meters or less, you don't need a new RPR.
Oh.
So there's a lot of things where people think they're just gonna go ahead and order a new 700 RPR. Ask your agent, let your agent guide you, and let your agent take care of everything A to Z for you, because there's a lot of things homeowners forget and kind of don't understand, because the city, believe it or not, is actually not that involved in RPRs. It's these third-party survey companies that are in charge of them and own them and copyright their signing and approving of them. The city just registers it for a small fee. So for example, if you call ARC Surveys, they're going to charge you $4.95 for RPR, but the city is going to put $180 to register it.
Yeah.
All they do is put a stamp on it.
Yeah.
And register it. So it's really these survey companies, if you have any questions, they're the ones that are going to tell you need a new RPR, or we can just update yours for a small fee, like $50. So, don't be shy to ask your agent, because I've had some clients that got a little overzealous and, I already reached out to a survey company, I paid for a new one, and I'm like, you didn't need a new one.
Mm-hmm.
But they already paid,
And a lot of people don't end up keeping their RPR when they buy a house, and then like 7 years later, they're like, I lost mine. Keep it safe, put it somewhere where you're going to find it again.
Yeah. Also, make sure you reach out to the lawyer you used, because a lot of times they'll keep it.
They'll have a copy too. I did that for a client.
Or that survey company.
Yeah.
That survey company has them all on file as well, and they should be able to, for a small fee, issue a copy of a new one, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if you mentioned what RPR means.
real property report. It's a 2-page piece of paper, so two loose leaves kind of opened up, bird's eye view of your property with a colored stamp on it. It is required for every sale here in our province.
Yeah.
So the seller must
With
provide
compliance.
must
That's
provide a
standard,
compliant RPR to the new buyer.
Yeah.
Unless the buyer agrees in writing, we accept the RPR as is, or we accept no RPR.
Yeah.
But normally 9 times out of 10, the seller is going to have to provide a compliant one.
And RPRs for condominiums. How does that
It's
work?
not called an RPR. It's really just like a condominium plan sheet, right?
Okay.
It's an additional land title. So think of it as 2 land titles.
Yeah.
For every condominium, there's going to be 2 land titles.
Yeah.
And one of them is essentially your RPR,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's required, it's needed, but because it's not, you own a small portion and a unit factor, you own a small percentage of the entire structure, there isn't a specific real property report for each unit. So no, it does not apply for condos, townhouses.
Yeah.
Matt, how can people reach you on Instagram and
Put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't know my
Come on.
Instagram handle anymore.
I think I do. Matt, I think it's Matt Greenham Real Estate, isn't it?
Dot.
My phone's
Probably.
there.
Yeah.
Someone check.
We'll find it.
We'll tag it.
We'll tag it anyway.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Matt Greenham dot real estate.
Matt Greenham
That's a
Real
handful.
Estate.
Yeah.
Please give him a follow. At our team at the Green Group, he is our top salesperson, so we're very proud of him and having him do that and lead by example. So
Yes.
he's a heavy hitter, and he's humble about it, and that's another thing I admire. There's people doing far less and are out there acting like they're doing a lot more. So
just kidding. No.
so thank you very much, Matthew, for being on.
Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciated having you on, and I learned a little bit about you. And
Yeah.
everybody enjoy Stampede. It's back in
Stay
full effect.
safe. Stay safe.
And we'll be looking forward to a nice episode next week. Maybe we'll be wearing our chucks.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay safe.